Back to my channel, and if you're not coming back, then welcome, newbie. So this video is actually going to conclude my TEAS test series. Prior to this, all of my videos have primarily been study tips on how to study properly for the TEAS exam and what to look for and things like that. This video is primarily just going to be while you're taking the test, so test taking strategies and tips, not necessarily only for the TEAS test, but just in all of your tests coming forward from now on. So the most important one, in my opinion, is reading the directions carefully. You want to know exactly what's being expected of you. In addition to that, make sure you read the questions carefully. Sometimes the wording is kind of tricky, and I know in the past I've made dumb mistakes from just literally just not reading the questions properly, like the directions, and not following them properly. When I look at it later, I'm like, oh my God, really? Like, really, girl, you got that wrong. So don't make the same mistakes that I do. Make sure you read them thoroughly. Next, don't spend any length of time on any one question, because honestly, there will be questions that you don't know, and that's okay. Like, at least make an educated guess at the moment, maybe put a star next to it, and then keep going, because sometimes maybe that's question number 4 that you're stuck on, and then by the time you're on question number 10, something clicks and you're like, oh wait, that reminds me, okay, now I know how to answer question number 4 or whatever. Just make sure you at least make an educated guess. I mean, you have a 1 in 4 chance of getting it right, and any questions that are unanswered are automatically wrong, so don't leave any questions unanswered. With that, don't keep a mental score of the incorrect questions that you have, because I've done that and it's hard not to do, but it definitely messes up your mental space while you're taking the test. You really just need to focus on what's in front of you and what's going on in that moment. Don't be like, oh, I'm getting them wrong, I'm getting them wrong. Like, that's not going to help anybody's situation. With that, I mean, I'm not going to say most people, I'll say a lot of people, while they're taking the test, they feel like they're messing up. Like, they feel like they're bombing the test. They feel like they're not doing well. I felt that way during like the math section. And I know I have friends in nursing programs that felt the same way in different sections or all the sections. Like, everybody kind of feels that way. Again, you just have to really be positive and just focus on what you're doing at hand. Just keep pushing forward, but being mindful of your time, because it is a timed exam. Next, you probably want to make an outline of the videos that you've seen thus far. You know, my series of videos, maybe make an outline of those in addition to the blogs or other forums or whatever you're also researching. I know it's like kind of daunting to do and it's annoying, but it's knowledge. It's here for you. Take advantage of it, you know? Next, in your ATI study guides or any other, I personally didn't buy the ATI study guide, but I had other TEAS test study guides, and this pretty much goes for any kind of textbook. Pay attention to the bold writing or whatever is like bold, because there's a reason why it's bold. Even if you don't know it, maybe further research it, because it's more than likely going to be in your exam. So just make sure you pay attention to those. Also, while you're taking the test, watch for labels on charts and directions on maps, because those can be kind of tricky to follow. So take your time with those. Make sure you eat a good breakfast, obviously. Try to get a good night's sleep, but that's kind of impossible, but try, at least try. But definitely make sure you eat breakfast. You want to be focused in the morning. You don't want to be like all over the place. But with that, make sure you do not overhydrate. I would say don't even like dehydrate. Like, people are like, oh yeah, get a coffee, but coffee makes you pee. So, you know, when you're in your test, like before you start, the proctor will be like, okay, if you have to use the restroom or make a phone call or whatever, do what you got to do now, because once you start the exam, you are not allowed to get out. So if you have to pee, you can't leave, and you'll just be distracted with the fact that you got to pee. So, helpful hit. be prepared with pencils and scratch paper, because I had a friend who at her test taking site, they said, we're going to provide you with scratch paper, they're going to provide you with pens and pencils, and when she got there wasn't any. They're like, oh, well, sorry, you should have brought some. And then at my place, they said the same thing, we'll provide you with everything, but just in case, I brought my own pencils and paper, and when I got there, I actually was provided with pens and paper and all that fun stuff. So just bring it just in case. It's always, it's just better to be